Hello, everyone. This is Michael Fair from FilmFestivalCircuit.com and the administrator of it's hard to get around to saying that, but I'm the administrator of the Atlanta After Dark Film Festival. I actually am not the director. Derek Sitter is now the director of the festival, but I'm the CEO at Film Festival Circuit. So this is under our umbrella. The Atlanta After Dark Film Festival is an event where we feature content that is for mature audiences. And it's like that on purpose. It is not suited for children, but it also is not exclusively a horror film festival. We have horror films, horror comedy, dark science fiction, dark drama, dark animation with music videos. But specifically, there are things that may not necessarily be in the mainstream PG or G rated audience. And so we focus on that type of content, and we are joined by a film that is nominated for 2 awards. Harry Waldman directed a film called Enter the Room, which is nominated for the Best Dark Drama Film Award, as well as the Best Editing Award. Harry, welcome. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thanks so much for having me and for the nominations. And yeah, my name is Harry Waldman. I live in Chicago, Illinois, and I'm the director, writer, editor of the short film Enter the Room, which is about 2 brothers who have polar opposite personalities and tend to clash. There's a lot of tension that happens throughout the film, and I won't give away the ending, but things get a bit crazy at the end. I'll just say that.
All right. What were other than directing, what were your roles on this one?
Yeah, so the main roles I did wear, as is the case, of course, with a lot of low budget films. I was the director, writer, editor. I co-produced the film with a friend of mine, Lance Elliott Adams. Although I will say that since this was my first professional film, he really did a lot of the heavy lifting. So I would almost call him the producer on that. Those were my main roles throughout the process. I did also help out with casting, which he also led with. But yeah.
All right. Good stuff. So what inspired you to create this movie in the first place? Like what was a personal experience, or what's the story?
Yeah, so this is very personal to me. Believe it or not, the relationship with the 2 brothers, while I don't have a brother, I just have a younger sister and we get along great, fortunately. But yes, while I don't have a brother, I had a roommate my freshman year of college, and that was where the inspiration came from. And so basically, I would say between 80 and 90% of the various things that Brian is getting on Jeremy's case about, accusing him of, etc., were actual things my roommate said to me, accused me of. So yeah, and actually another fun fact is that the original script for this film, the final script I believe was closer to 12 or 13 pages. The original script was about 30. So there were a lot of things that happened between my roommate and I that just didn't quite make the cut.
Mm.
As my assistant director kind of he told me, if we don't necessarily want to turn this into a 40-minute film, so I ended up cutting it down a lot before we finally put it into production. But anyway, yeah, so while obviously living with him was not the most pleasant experience, in hindsight I'm glad I met him, because if I didn't, the idea for this film never would have come up.
Wow, very interesting. So, looking forward to the event coming up. Are there any, connections or anyone you'd like to meet? Anything preparing you for your next project?
Yeah, actually, I have. So, while I do have a couple projects going on, Enter the Room, still going through its festival run. I have another short film, Bay for Blood, which I just began the festival run for that, and that's going well. But I would say for networking, first of all, I just love meeting other filmmakers, talking to people, hearing their stories. Um, as for actually looking for something, though, I have a feature film, The Corridor Crossing, which I shot last summer, and that one is getting there with post. It's still going to be a while until it's finished. But anyway, I have a decent rough cut coming close to being completed, and I have a temp soundtrack put down. But I am going to be looking to hire a composer. And with all my previous films, I had always just used royalty-free music, but I kind of wanted to up it a bit with a composer for this. So I'm definitely looking to network, particularly with composers, just to talk about potential music for that film.
Excellent. Oh, we'll have to keep an eye out. Composer, man, can really make the mood of your film, And what do you, when you look back and Into the Room and you look about what it is you may have learned from this, that little piece of film school that this film specifically gave you in your career. What did you learn from this one?
Yeah, so well, before I get into my specific, first of all, especially since this was my first film, I learned so much. I would say particularly on the producer side, just because before I had ever made a professional film, I kind of didn't realize how much work went into it. I was really fortunate that my friend Lance kind of took me under his wing and showed me, how to post casting notices, bring in actors for auditions, bringing on the rest of the crew, interviewing everybody, scheduling everything. So that was really important for me to see firsthand. But I would say the number one thing I learned and something I particularly struggled on with Enter the Room was just understanding how to most efficiently schedule a shot list. Um, I had, because I didn't have film school, I didn't have the film background. We mostly just shot in relative chronological order. And while
Mm.
that may make sense to somebody, who doesn't really have much experience in the industry, I quickly learned how much time was spent having to reset lights in particular, but just to reset everything when we had to switch angles. And there was a lot of time, particularly on the first day, where we were, my assistant director kind of let me know, yeah, we're not really moving as quickly as we want to. So I think that was the number one thing I learned. And it's something that I stress over so much, but also feel that I've improved on in production since that film.
Okay. All right. Excellent stuff. Well, is there anyone you want to thank before we get out of here that may have worked on the movie but isn't here for this interview?
Yeah, of course. There's a number of people. First of all, just the people who worked on the film. I wanted to thank Lance Elliott Adams, who he was the first kind of friend I really made through the film industry. The
Mhm.
first project I worked on as a production assistant, he was a producer on that, and we hit it off. He started bringing me onto his sets, and this project never would have happened if he didn't take a look at my script and offer to produce and shoot it. So first of all, thanks to him. Um, I wanted to thank the assistant director, Mohammed Nazar. He was fantastic. Really smart guy, just really on top of this stuff. Since this was my first film, he did a really good job when I sometimes was getting a little lost, even kind of taking over as the director and doing it, calmly and professionally, just working with the actors. And then speaking of the actors, Peter Massey and Rich Holton were both just fantastic. They were, awesome to work with and just both super dedicated to their craft. I really feel the when I receive feedback on this film, usually the number one thing I hear is that people were impressed with the acting. So I'm so happy with how they did. And then yeah, I just wanted to thank the rest of the cast and the crew. I wanted to thank my mom and dad who have been so supportive of me and my sister throughout this process, and just all my friends too in general. And of course, thank you to your festival for accepting me, and thanks to the judges. I'm really happy to be here.
Good stuff. Well, they really enjoyed it. This group down in Georgia was thrilled with this film. Obviously, two award nominations. It did great on the scorecards. So kudos to you for your hard work, and kudos to your team for putting this one together.
Thanks so much.
Well, I appreciate your time. Is there anything else you want to add before we go?
The only other thing, to anybody who's already following me or who is curious, if you're curious about Enter the Room or any of my other projects, you just either look up Harry Waldman or Edgewater Film Productions. I have my website. I have all my social media handles: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, etc. Always happy to have more followers, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
All right. Sounds good. Thanks for your time, Harry.
Thanks.